Sorry about that.
Oh. Okay, that's fine. For my bio, you know that I'm a journalist and I write on US-China issues. And I have a weekly podcast called China Watch, and I explore US-China relations. And the reason I do that is because I grew up from modern China, and I know a lot of my work is to talk about the nature of the tensions right now and the and exposing the Chinese regime for what it is. So you might wonder, why am I here talking, but almost 100% positively about a Chinese show? And we will get to that very soon. And let me ask you a question. What do you think, what aspects of a culture helps a culture to sustain the test of time? What elements of a culture usually stays generations or become the traits or characteristic of a culture?
Like something on their moral compass, whether it's I don't know if you say a moral compass, if they have something based on that, whether it's a religion, not a overall religion, but just, I guess, moral character.
Oh, wow. Very deep. Right away. Thank you, Mark.
Or organization or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm. Like what unites them?
Right.
What kind of
Religion,
Language.
right,
language, yeah.
right.
Shared history.
Shared district. Yep. So can you the next, yeah. So for one thing that I want to touch on is the faith, not necessarily religion, because in the Eastern culture, it's more like the way of life and philosophy, more so than religion, because religion, in our mind, it's about, you know, religion entails more organization and member rosters and etc. But in the Eastern Oriental way, it's more like the philosophy. And for Chinese, for a long time, um, Chinese people believe that the culture is divinely inspired. And this is on the right-hand side, paying respect to the deity is the ancestor called Yellow Emperor. And on the left, that's the deity named Guangchengzi, who Chinese legend believes that he passed the wisdom and different way of the Chinese people's way of life to um, the Chinese people, including music and arts, including culinary, martial arts, etc. Um, and so next, please. Throughout the ages, these are considered as the three pillars of Chinese cultural heritage: Taoism, Buddhism, Confucianism. Taoism, it's about being a truthful person, speak truthfully, and eventually become to attain the truth and to know more, to be more aware of the universe. Buddhism is about compassion, getting rid of attachments, resentment, hatred, negative emotions, and the emphasis is on being kind to others. For example, Christianity is the closest to Buddhism. And then Confucianism is kind of the Chinese chivalry code of being a gentleman, to be loyal to the family and to the country, and to have respect and put one's country above oneself and one's community above oneself. So throughout the ages, these are the three pillars, and they reached the peak in the Tang Dynasty. And the next slide, please. So this was a very significant turn for Chinese culture during the Cultural Revolution in 1949. And here on the screen, I'm showing a famous quote by the former communist leader Mao Zedong, who said, "Fighting with heaven, people, and earth, the joy is endless." And therefore, it's a it turned the Chinese culture upside down and almost erased the cultural roots completely, because Chinese traditional culture is all about talking about believing in the divine, talking about respecting the nature, to be in harmony with the nature. But so it's not about taking a very aggressive stance about fighting with heaven and people and earth and getting joy from being aggressive. And that you can see a little bit from today's Chinese regime's behavior. And that is rooted from communism, but the China before communism was actually very spiritual and also very tolerant. Next, please. And so when I came to the States, one of the biggest challenge for me was, one, I had to make my own choice, because all of a sudden I can make decisions on my life on my own now. And I realized that I did not have the capability of evaluate different options and make choice for myself. That was a cultural shock. The other thing was to really figure out who I am, to have a fundamental inner peace and confidence of being comfortable just being myself. And that was, I did not have that until I found the essence of Chinese traditional culture. And it's somehow, I think it makes sense now for me. Initially, I thought it was a little bit ironic for Chinese to understand my cultural heritage when I'm in America. But it's really because here we have the freedom. And just like martial arts, also I learned the real martial arts is actually spread around by foreigners, because inside China it's all about quick money. There's no respect for tradition. But it's the people outside China know the value. And for Shen Yun Performing Arts, this year is their 20th anniversary, and it's a group of artists, Chinese artists outside of China in America, banding together and said that we need to revive our cultural roots. There's a need for the Chinese population to do so. So that's the mission of Shen Yun Performing Arts, to revive the 5,000 years of Chinese culture through performing arts. Next, please. Because Chinese classical dance and music are carry the DNA of the culture. The melody is different, the sound texture, timbre is different, and the movement is different. And the one thing that sets Chinese classical dance apart from ballet is that Chinese classical dance emphasizes half on acting and half on dancing. And then the dancing has a lot more tumbling dimensions. So martial arts and those fancy gymnastic movements, they all originate initially from Chinese classical dance. And so I'm going to play just an introduction about Shen Yun. I hope it comes out okay. The sound doesn't, it's okay. So I've already covered some of this, and I think for you is to see the Chinese classical movements. And the traditional Chinese belief is that the artists need to cultivate their own inner peace and their moral character in order for the beauty to come through, the inner beauty to shine through. And that's what the Shen Yun Performing Arts artists do. Because in the old days, everyone would, no matter their profession, they would meditate before they do their jobs. And yeah, it's okay. So the movements, the Chinese classical dance movements, kind of go with the Chinese philosophy really well in terms of not going to the extremes, but also kind of a Taoism balance of emphasizing if you go to the right, first you go left. Everything movements is round and in circles. We can go to the next slide, it's okay. And so because the Chinese regime has tried to sabotage the cultural roots of China because communism is a foreign philosophy rather than what's innate in China. So right now, Shenyun cannot perform in mainland China, but a lot of Chinese people travel to nearby Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea to enjoy the show. And we often see a lot of Chinese here at the Kennedy Center as well. They hear about it, and there's a big yearning of finding their cultural roots and reconnecting, right? Because otherwise, one would feel that one is just drifting like I did years ago. So even though Shen Yun is not allowed to perform in China, a lot of Chinese troops, dance troops, are copying Shen Yun. They're copying Shen Yun's costumes, Shen Yun's color, Shen Yun's music, and Shen Yun's stagecraft. But there is a famous quote about Taoism, which is the tangible and what you can see is the container. What's intangible and invisible is really the Tao, which is the way of life. So Chinese classical dance is a container. And if the artist's level, artist's moral level, artist's own state of mind determines how good the art achievement is, right? So that's why, in a way, a lot of the containers or physical parameters may be copied, but what the feeling, the experience cannot. So the next one, and I think I had a video of the live orchestra also combines the East and the West. So far, Shen Yun is the only one who has achieved so, because the Eastern music has different scale and different musical instruments, but what the Chinese music lacks is that Chinese music does not have orchestration techniques. So Shen Yun kind of wonderfully combined both the best of both worlds, and the music sounds distinctively Eastern, but the texture is richer than normally you will hear. Chinese music is normally linear with all the instruments playing the same music, same melody at the same time without the orchestration layers. I had a audience feedback. Oh, next, please. I already talked about the classical Chinese dance because I'm aware of the time constraint. These are the different additional dimensions. We can skip this one. It's audience reviews. I was just gonna play. You see just the movements, and you see the beauty of it, and I just wanted you to see how happy the audience is afterwards, and that truly reflects the cultural value of Shen Yun. And so next, please. And as Mark just said, the show starts tonight at the Kennedy Center. The show has performing at the Kennedy Center for over 10 years now. So it's very nice. And also Baltimore, there's another chance in April. The Hippodrome Theater is also very good. Every seat is good. The slope in the theater is very good. No one is blocking another person in the back. And then my last slide is to just show the calendar of no performance on Monday and Tuesday, but otherwise covering the entire 2 weeks. And as I was making my presentation, I see different people, the reactions. Some are nodding, smiling. Some may look like having questions. So I'm happy to have a little bit discussion if the time allows. Okay.
So are the dancers all, and the performers, they're trained in China and have made their way to the United States? Because Shen Yun is it an American corporation that is supporting them, or how is that? For my misconception, shame on me, but I'll be honest with everyone, I thought it was coming from China. And I don't typically want to support a lot of Chinese things that comes from China. So, now that I'm learning this and my mom really wanted to go, that's when I realized, oh my gosh, this is actually totally different. And Rotary is very involved in supporting movement against the forced organ harvesting in China. So
Oh,
a lot of people in Rotary are
okay.
very much aware of
Right,
and
right,
this kind of ties into creating that kind of awareness.
right.
So anything you can share as to how do they work
Yeah,
here? Do they live,
yeah.
all the artists live here?
So Shen Yun, this year is the 20th anniversary. It was incorporated in 2006. It started in 2006. Back then, I would say a lot of the artists were trained in China, and but now it's the second generation almost. So they are, other than the musicians, the dancers are almost 100% ethnic Chinese because you have to have that, I guess, in your body to be able to, because Shenyun, the name, I had a slide talking about the name of the Shenyun means the beauty of divine beings dancing. If you're not an ethnic Chinese, it's very hard to move like that, right? So, but like I said, like martial arts and stuff, the real essence of Chinese culture is actually kept outside China, just because inside China, there's no freedom and there's no encouragement, no incentive of people to really invest on passing down that tradition and heritage, right? So, I mean, especially in China, when arts are used for propaganda, there's only so much creativity one can expect. Yeah, and then so Shenyun has its own Feitian Academy of the Arts. Initially, they followed the training method of the Beijing Dance Academy, but now they have surpassed the level, and Beijing Dance Academy is actually learning from them. Yeah. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. So last year, Kennedy Center on the opening day received a fake bomb threat, and they had to evacuate. It didn't affect the performance, but this is to the extent how much the Chinese regime wants to stop Shenyang from performing um, because there because of the authentic culture Shenyang is presenting, and that takes away the monopoly that the Chinese regime has been enjoining and controlling to provide the Chinese narrative, right? Yeah.
I will say, I might have mentioned earlier that Cindy and I, last year, the year before, went to see it. Cindy's wanted to see it for a long time, and dancing and pretty colors and stuff. I was blown away. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's amazing performance, and then I hear it changes every year. I always thought it was like one show that kept repeating, but some things change every year in it. So if you've seen it before, you can see it again and be something different.
Yeah, that's true. They did at George Mason several years ago, but not this time. Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Did you say where in the US they train?
The training campus is in Upper State New York, in the Orange County. There's a Orange County in Upper State New York. Yeah.
The embassy tried the deal to stop them from forming families. And for example, I'm now volunteering for bus watch. Because a few years ago they started to in the night they sleep on the tour buses and cut the clown tire from the back that they had a supposed an accident on with a performance. Oh my! So we have to watch over the night the buses, yeah. And since this year, the embassy or the central government in China started transnational persecution. So not only Shen was
Questioners, a mic.
everyone who's opposing or criticizing the Chinese Communist Party, they cover them with fake lawsuits. And for example, with the Shen Yun, they have the campus in New York State. They were sued by a concerned businessman who came out of China after 15 years. Within 1 week, he established an environmental protection group and had suddenly $700,000 for legal fees for top lawyer. And they said, okay, they put the drainage water in a local creek. So that he fired a lawsuit, was a bad press locally, immediately, and the New York Times covered them, a synchron, and later the judge, after the investigation, said, no, the sewage water is going on the other side of the hill in the drainage tank area, was the way it's supposed to be. Yeah, so case dismissed. So this businessman with another $300,000 legal fee filed the same lawsuit again, 4 times in a row. Yeah, and the media wasn't so bad, they covered only all here accused of. In our age, if you're accused of something, you're guilty. So it turned everything pretty toxic, pretty hard for them. Yeah, and this is, they don't do this only with Shen, they do this with Falun Gong human rights, they do it with the Uyghur movement. Suddenly the president gets accusation of tax fraud or something out of nowhere. And this last year was pretty hard. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a good way to support that and just enjoy a beautiful evening.
Yeah, thank you, Mark.
Y'all have any other questions? Thank you so much for your presentation. All right.